Welcome to Love Talk. My name is Gregory Morgan. The relationship that most people have trouble with are the marital relationships or romantic relationships. The relationship of the type that we call eros from the Greek word. The Greeks defined different types of love. They had three words in their language for love. Eros, which is the erotic love, the love that involves sexuality and the love between a man and a woman, or any kind of erotic love. I'll include other types of erotic love. And then there is also filial love, or the love of peers, the love of an equal, the love of a brother or sister, the love that you have with your friend. Then they had another word for love called agape, which is a unconditional love, a spiritual-like love, a love for all of mankind. I didn't say like. It doesn't mean that you have to like everyone, but it is something, it is a love that rises above our differences. It is a love called agape that is a love for all of mankind. And then in Embrace Growth, we have also distinguished that there are other types of love as well. There is parental love that is the closest to agape love in terms of its being unconditional. The love of a parent for a child. And we have also noticed that there's two different kinds of loves even amongst parents. The love of a mother for their child is more unconditional, if you will, than, let's say, the love of a father for that child. Even though fathers experience this unconditional love, a father will have tendencies to impose a condition. Your father will disown you if you mess up, where your mother never will. When your father says, I don't ever want to speak to you again, your mother will call you. You know, you go to ask your dad for, some money, and he says no, your mother will slip you $100 bill. There is a different type of love even between parents. So the show today, and in all of these shows that are produced by Embrace Growth, whether it's this show, Love Talk, or any of our workshops, we're always speaking about not what is right or wrong, or good or bad, or even what is the truth about relationships. What we're really speaking from is our own experience in relationships, and our experience is not just the experience of two people who have wandered out into the world, but our experience is the experience of two people who have made it their business over many decades. For myself, I've been teaching seminars and workshops for over 30 years now. It is not just about two people's opinion, and it's not stuff that we learned in a book, and so therefore we're certified to teach that, even though we are. However, it is more about our personal experience in working with thousands and thousands of people over several decades, that we have discovered certain things that work and certain things that definitely don't work. And then there are certain things that they kind of work part of the time, but you're going to have problems with them later on. This show is about what works, the stuff that we know. It is so reliable that it works. And we've been able to distinguish certain principles, practices, and attitudes in life that if you follow these and put them into your relationship and practice them, because love and relationships is an art form. It is not something that you learn to do automatically. It would seem that you would, but human relationships are a type of art form, and like any art form, whether you're an artist that paints or a dancer or a musician, a doctor even, being a doctor is a type of art form. That's why they call a doctor's practice a practice. In any art form, there is the theory. There's the stuff that you can read about, the stuff that you can take notes about, the stuff that you should write down. You really should write it down and try to learn it. So there's the sort of left brain activity, the theory of an art, and then there's the practice of the art. You can learn everything there is to know about painting from reading in a book and observing other painters paint, but until you actually start painting and practicing painting, you don't have a chance of becoming an artist. An art is a practice, is my point. And in the art of loving and the art of relationships, regardless of any of the types of relationships that I've just mentioned, there's a certain art form to it. There's the theory, and so I'll be glad to discuss those theories with you. But then there's the practice. There's the taking what you got from the teacher and taking it out and applying it in your life and seeing how it works for you. And then you, as an artist, making it your own, using whatever it is that works for you and using it to enhance your own sense of happiness and well-being and fulfillment, and bringing that happiness, that well-being, that fulfillment into your relationships. So many people are attempting to get happiness from their relationships. And I don't have to tell you, you don't need me or any other genius to find out that relationships don't make you happy. Most relationships don't make you happy. If you're trying to get something from the relationship so that you can be happy, the chances are, by large, that your behavior, the way you act, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you argue, the way you fight, all of that is going to be geared towards, on a subconscious level, manipulating the other person into behaving some sort of way so that you can feel better. That is about as far from love as I can imagine. That is about the worst experience of relationship that I could imagine, is to change myself and to try to be something or act in some way so that the person that I care about will like me, or act like they like me or love me, so that I can get them to behave in a way so that I can feel good about myself, so I can feel happy, so I can feel loved, so I can feel like they're behaving like I want them to. That is like the antithesis, the opposite of love. That is manipulation, cajoling. That's anything but love, okay? And in fact, I'm going to say that that's where love goes to die, because eventually you suck all of the love, all of the life, all of the well-being, all of the natural, spontaneous happiness out of the relationship, and you eventually end up divorced or worse, because there are worse things than divorce. For example, staying in a marriage that all of the love is gone out of, and what's left is animosity, arguing, fighting, maybe even violence, more manipulating, and lying and cheating and all the stuff that goes with that. That would be worse than divorce as far as I'm concerned. And I think that you would probably agree. We're about sharing with you the things that do work so that you can begin to let go of those things that we know for sure don't work, okay? To do something over and over again that you know doesn't work. Thinking that maybe it'll work this time is probably a pretty good definition of insanity, like really crazy, like nutty, like doing the same thing over and over and over, knowing it doesn't work, but thinking, oh, maybe it'll work this time. And we all have that tendency. It's a funny thing about human animal. We are each human beings, and the being part is after the handling of or the taking care of the animal part. If your animal needs are not met, then you become an animal in order to get those needs met. And once your needs are met, then your attention naturally, if you're a healthy human being, would naturally turn towards quality of your life. What is the meaning of my life? What is it that I have to contribute to life? What's the purpose? Why am I here? Who am I spiritually, emotionally? How do I grow and expand my emotional intelligence such that I can begin to perceive in others, how they're feeling and actually care about that and communicate with them on that level and want to be able to have their happiness be an expression of my own happiness and well-being. Those are human capacities, and they are human needs. Human beings need to know that their life makes a difference. Human beings need to know that the world is a better place because you're here. Human beings need to know that they are understood and that they're loved and that they're cared about, but they also need to know that they leave something like a legacy, like a promise, like a better world for future generations. These are human needs, and you can't even begin to be concerned about those human needs as long as your own personal animal needs are not being met. In other words, if you're worried about trying to get enough money or trying to get enough sex, of anything that has to do with the survival of your physical body, if you're worried about violence or you're worried about being attacked or you're constantly on the lookout or being hyper vigilant about your wellness, your health or something like that, then you can't be concerned about making somebody else happy. You need to be well first. So really these shows, these talks are about your wellness. They're about having you be well in life so that you can bring your wellness, your happiness, your connection with God or eternity or whatever you want to call that magnificent presence that is alive and intelligent and seems to be in charge of the universe and causing and creating reality in harmony with, in spiritual connection with, in emotional connection with the automatic, spontaneous, ongoing well-being of the universe. The universe is quite well, thank you very much. The universe doesn't need you to adore it, to bow down to it. It doesn't really even need you to thank it. Thanking the universe for your abundance or your well-being is so that you keep the channel open between you and the universe. The universe has already given you everything that you will ever need. The only thing between you and having everything that you ever wanted, needed, and deserved is your own beliefs, your own limited, conditioned way of thinking that has actually thrown blocks up and filters up that literally block you from being able to see the abundance and well-being that's always already been there the whole time. Embrace Growth is about generating information in such a way that you can not just memorize it and write it down and take notes, and I hope you do, but don't let that get in the way of your experience of a whole other level that I'm communicating to you on. And I'll always be communicating to you on several different levels at the same time. So I invite you to open your heart, to open your mind, to open your emotions so that you can actually feel what I'm saying and not just be in your mental capacity where you're sitting back going, well, I agree with that, but I don't agree with that, or I could have done that better, or, this other person said this, and how does that compare to what he said, and how do I know, and is this true? Those are all left brain mental processes, which it's good that you have that. But if that's all you got, then I'm here to wake up the rest of it, because there's a whole nother spectrum of learning and understanding. And when you connect with it, then you begin to have knowledge that comes from inside of you. And how I know that is because it comes from inside of me. So if it's happening over here with me, it must be happening over there with you as well. You begin to have understandings. You begin to have knowledge that has surpassed or bypassed any rational reasoning process. In other words, begin to know intuitively certain things about your life, about yourself, about what works, about what doesn't work, without having to have arrived at it through rational thinking. A lot of the work that we do through our seminars and our workshops and our private therapy is designed to open you up. I was just thinking, I was speaking with someone on our staff today, it's like the worst business plan possible, because if you actually got what I was saying and you integrated it into your life, then you wouldn't need a coach, you wouldn't need a therapist, you wouldn't need seminars and workshops or books or CDs, all the stuff that is our business. In other words, I'd put myself out of business. So how I'll know that I've gotten my job done in life at the end of my life is that there will be people teaching what I'm teaching. The people that I've taught won't need what I'm teaching. If you really got what I'm saying, everything exists within you now. All knowledge, all compassion, all understanding exists within you right now, and you have a direct access to it. The work of Embrace Growth point of this program today is about pointing in that direction, pointing in the direction of where you could look inside yourself in order to open your mind, open your heart, open your eyes to an enlarged capacity, an expanded capacity, and be able to find your own answers within yourself. I'm talking about bringing happiness into your own relationship. I've been talking about your own innate ability to discover and experience happiness and fulfillment within yourself and be able to express that and bring that into your relationship. Most of us go into relationships with all of our preconceived notions about relationship. Perhaps we didn't even get those notions or those ideas from our own experience. We may have inherited and been programmed and received and conditioned ideas, limiting beliefs about relationships, about people, about men, and all of these beliefs and conditioning we've received at a very, very early age when we were children, and then we grew up without ever questioning these beliefs. Basically, we have adults who are getting in relationship and getting married and having children of their own and passing on the same conditioning, the same limiting beliefs, the same ideas that they never questioned themselves. And so in such a way, and we call it a culture, we call it a religion, we call it a society. However, it is a set of conditioned beliefs and that are never being questioned. And because they're never being questioned, they solidify and they begin to form your mind, your body, your emotions, and ultimately who you become in relationship to the cosmos, in relationship to infinity, in relationship to nature. The purpose of this show and the talk that I'm talking about today is about breaking that up a little bit, about loosening that up so that you begin to experience a little more random and spontaneous expression of yourself, so that you can actually begin to receive and have the space to create and design your life from a place of happiness and fulfillment and connection, rather than always trying to fix what's broken, because it's not broken. In the first place, it's not broken. The only thing that's broken is your belief about how abundant and well you truly are. So life is not broken, you're not broken, your relationships aren't broken. However, there are some limiting or constricting beliefs, and those beliefs and that conditioning, I want you to know, I think that the woman in this film really well demonstrates that. Those beliefs, that conditioning, don't stand a chance against the positive part of yourself. I'll just leave it at that. Basically, we get to another outer layer, and that outer layer of ourselves is in harmony with, is made up of the same vibratory frequency as all of nature. What is vibrating from the trees, from the mountains, from the streams, from the stars, from the sun. In other words, nature has a harmonious, conscious, vibratory frequency that is measurable. In the Tibetan Buddhists, they talk about the sound of Om, O-M, Om, which is the sound that the universe is making, so to speak. If we were to verbalize it and turn it into a word or a sound or a vibration that we could say, it would be a vibration that when you say it, you enter into a vibratory state. I mean, if you just walk around saying Om, 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 I don't think that's going to work. But in a meditative state, to utter that vibration or that sound is to call forth that vibration, because vibrations that are alike tend to attract each other. When you are throwing out negative beliefs, negative thoughts, negative emotions, judgments, resentments, and you keep those around, they literally create filters that will not allow that vibration of nature to enter into your auric field, enter into your thoughts, enter into your emotions, enter into your physical body. We have a generator right here called the heart. And in many cultures it is well understood, but science is able to measure, in many cultures it is well understood that the true mind is the heart. And they say, think with your heart, or let your heart decide, or follow your heart, okay? And I've been speaking about this forever on this show, about how the mind has no answers. It has endless questions, and it comes up with answers, but then they ask questions about those answers. The heart has no questions. The heart knows what it needs to know. And if you could learn to listen to the heart, if you take the time to listen to your heart, you will find many of the answers. So much of the work that we're doing is designed to get you to listen to your heart. That she draws a picture of the heart, and how the vibration, the thoughts that are generated from the heart, the same color, the same vibratory frequency as the universal thoughts that are actually attempting to penetrate our being and be a part of who we are physically. When you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in tune with your true nature, your highest nature, your divine nature, then you will find that you are naturally well. You will find that you don't age. You can even reverse the process of aging to a certain extent. Deepak Chopra's great book in the beginning of his career that, well, it certainly wasn't the beginning of his career, but his beginning of his public appearance as a speaker, Deepak Chopra, if you haven't heard of him, look him up, was a book called Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. In your mind, there is no time. There is infinite time. And you're able to voyage forward and backward in time quite easily with your mind. And your body does not necessarily need to age. And so in that book, The Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, he talks about how you can literally reverse the process of entropy. Entropy being process, the word entropy means the natural process for organized systems. That means she talked about how if we took all the energy and condensed it down and made a physical body, that is an organized system. Basis of entropy is that organized systems tend to degenerate or disintegrate. Integrated systems have a tendency to disintegrate. And that's happening all the time. Even the paint on your car is disintegrating from the moment it's put on. If you've ever gone out and seen oxidation on your car, if you didn't polish it often enough and it begins to get that grayish look on it, it's because the particles of paint are literally becoming oxygen again. They're oxidation. So they're literally disintegrating. Your body is disintegrating. And so social systems disintegrate, relationships disintegrate, well-formed thoughts and ideas disintegrate. By being connected with all of nature, being a part of the celebration of life itself, because let me tell you something, nature is celebrating. The universe is celebrating. It is celebrating its own presence, its own creation, its own life force. Life itself is an expression of the celebration of life itself. And so when you join in that, by lifting your vibration up through meditation, through spiritual practices, through getting rid of things that don't work in your life and start inviting into your life things that do work, and following certain practices and principles, you can learn at a lot of places. We've made it our business, like I said, at Embrace Growth, to put out products, services, seminars, workshops that are easily accessible to everyone, so that you could begin to have in your life a resource of information that will allow you to begin to tap into your own celebration of life. We have a seminar called Celebrating Relationships, and it's about joining in this celebration of life, because you are related. You are already related. And so it's not like you have to get related, although there is a certain amount of hello, how do you do, what's your name, and all that I would call getting related. But ultimately, you already are related. In the film that I was showing you with Dr. Mottler, I would like to show you the rest of that film, because I want you to see. She makes a very good point, and I feel that she makes the point very precisely, that the negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, and conditioning that you have accepted as part of your life don't stand a chance against a higher vibratory level. They simply do not stand a chance. And it's like if you took I recently had this experience, although it didn't have a positive outcome. It's the one that I can think of right now, of taking some of our audio equipment from here in America and taking it over to England, and I plugged it into the 220 circuits over there, 220 volt circuits, and it didn't stand a chance. All of the heat resistors and all the things that are built into a piece of audio equipment that would cause it to, maybe shut down or shut off so that it protected itself, didn't have a second. Bam! It fried in a second. Not even a half a second. It made a pop sound, and the entire inside of that thing turned black. That was a bummer for me and a bummer for Embrace Growth, because we had to go get a new sound system. But if it gave me an image of how a negative thought, a negative belief, a negative habit, once you've plugged it into a higher vibratory level of being, once you've plugged it into a higher spiritual idea, that higher spiritual idea will destroy it. I come from a background of people, and there are addicts and alcoholics in my family. I'm sharing something a little bit personal with you. It would be absolutely predictable, probable, that I would be like that. I should have, if you followed statistical outlay, it would have been predictable that I would have turned out like that. I had the good fortune early in life to run into people, teachers, ideas and thoughts that raised my vibratory level, so that I was able to rise above the conditioning, the limiting ideas and beliefs and habits and ways of being that had been passed down through my family generation to generation. And I had the good fortune of being able to escape those bad habits and conditioning. Some of them I carried around with me for years and years, and I went through a lot of work to recondition myself. So it's not like I didn't work at it. I was able to escape some of the negative conditioning because the ideas I was exposed to through various teachers and spiritual practices wouldn't give them a chance to take hold in my life. That's a little something about my own personal experience in what I'm talking about. So this isn't just like a theory. This is something that I've lived through, and so that's why I wanted to share this film alone with you because ultimately I feel like this woman is explaining in a very clear and concise way.
Stand up if you can, please. Just for a moment, I'm going to ask you to just move your body in a strange kind of way. Will you do it? This is about the space to create. No, I will not. Yes, you can. Just move your body. Just not in a quick. I'll explain why later. It will serve you, I promise. In fact, I'll explain just a little bit right now. The electron moves outside of its normal, predictable electron cloud 5% of the time. And that's when pure, infinite possibility is captured. And so I'm asking you to do unfamiliar things every once in a while, just to move into a creative capacity. In the work of removing subconscious interference to the nervous system and to the electromagnetic energy system in the body. And I'm here today to speak to you about creativity. Creativity in the sense that you are more creative than you think. In fact, you are more creative than you can think. There is more to you than meets the eye. In fact, there is more to you than meets the mind. If we take all of the energy in all of creation, that's a lot. If it were all present here in this room at the same time, do you know what the experience would be? Nothing. There would be no experience because there is no point of relativity. Everything would be here. If we start compressing that energy, compress it down and down and down, further and further and further level, eventually we get to the smallest particle known to us, and inside that particle there is nothing. The same nothing that is present with the everything that is. And what science has determined is that there is no basic element to life. There is only form. Physical matter. This is the physical you, your physical body, your physical life. And inside this compressed state is the reality that we experience, the universe between our ears. So if we move off of the physical state and release the pressure just a little bit and allow a little bit more motion in between the molecules, in between the particles, we get to what is referred to as an etheric field, something that is measurable with Kirlian photography. We can assign different variations to different energy wavelengths, and we can then observe it through computer enhancement. So we know that this is here, and you know that it's there. You've experienced it if you're walking in the woods and you're walking one direction and you are looking in another direction, and you duck just before a tree branch hits you in the eye. What's happening is that tree branch is penetrating this electromagnetic energy field that radiates and emanates off the physical body before it actually hit you physically. You're experiencing another part of you, whether your five senses are picking up on it or not. When we release the pressure a little more in this arena, what we see is another waveform, another spectra of energies that is referred to as our emotions, our feelings, our emotions. They are higher frequency energies than our physical matter. It's easier to change emotion than it is to change our physical body, right? And so if we increase that a little bit more, release and allow a little bit more expansion, we land at another aspect of the human system, which is not our physical, etheric, or our emotional self, but our body of thoughts. Our body of thoughts, reoccurring thoughts that we regularly have that raise our vibrational frequency in one way or another. So if we think thoughts that rev us up into particular states, it is easy to move out of our natural state. And yet if we think thoughts that resonate with this natural state, it allows us to be in touch with, connect the dots, if you will, be joining with nature to a much greater capacity. As we release these energies to an even greater degree. The next level would be the nature that I'm referring to. This is the part of you that is the same as the rest of all of creation. So it's the thing we have in common, the thing that we share with nature. So this energy, as we know that all of creation is always expanding, it is always moving the highest frequency energies into the more dense frequency energies. And as it does so, it's kind of bringing light into the density. And in that, what happens is it expands. And so if we can see the dynamic here, it is always moving toward the physical in this way. Now, we as human beings have the capacity to think thoughts. We reject things, we resist things, we create friction for ourselves. And in doing so, we throw up a different energy frequency into this pattern. In throwing up that different energy frequency, what we're doing is drawing conclusions. We're saying, this should not have happened in my life. That should not have happened. This is right. This is wrong. We have free will to make these determinations. And in doing so, we create a different frequency that our body then has to respond to. So this is just like sunlight coming to a plant. Sunlight coming to a plant allows photosynthesis to occur. When we receive this high-frequency energy, it allows this system to vibrate at its highest potential. And the most amazing part of this whole picture, we are given an ability to meet up with the concept of nature through an energy that resides in the human heart. The human heart is the bioelectric powerhouse in the body, more so than the brain. It's 40 times to 60 times more powerful than the energies that are emitted from the brain, the human heart. It penetrates every cell of the body, and it penetrates off of the body 8 to 10 at least feet in every direction. So it is an energy waveform that is generated by your ability to coherently resonate with feelings and emotions such as love, forgiveness, compassion, acceptance, embrace, and so forth. So when we elicit these vibrations that we are capable of, and we elicit them into this energy field, it has the capacity to dissolve this interference. The interference occurs in this way. If this high-frequency energy is attempting to reach us at our physical life and allow us to be our full potential, and yet it is hitting up against beliefs that we have put in place somewhere along the way, it bounces back unto itself, and it can't get in. So it's just like shading between the sunlight and the plant. It doesn't get into your experience. So you aren't receiving the full capacity of energies that are available to you to make the decisions and to live the life and to heal and to be the creative individual that you're choosing to be. So we have the capacity to emanate in this way outwardly and dissolve this interference that exists between the two. And in doing so, an energy that is 2.5 times stronger than the energy that put this here, our thoughts of frustration, fear, anger, and hate, are generated at 0.1 microvolts. Our thoughts, feelings of love, forgiveness, acceptance, ingenuity, possibility, these kinds of emotions that we generate from the heart space also generate an electromagnetic energy, which is 0.25 microvolts. So it doesn't stand a chance in the face of this. So what we want to do is allow ourselves to move into a state of acceptance to a greater degree. So when we are attempting to create something, when we're blocked on something that we're trying to find a solution for, the answer is not to think more. The answer is to inject a different vibration into the picture to allow this to soften. And here is why that is essential when it comes to the human physical experience. This energy moving all the way to your physical life provides a coherent, comprehensive message that bombards the physical body. And at the physical body level, we now know that there is a communication system in the body. Study of biology is showing us today is that the nervous system isn't the only communication system that's happening. It's not the only way that our body runs itself and it defends itself in the world. And so there is another form of communication, many, one of which is that fact that on the surface of every cell in your body are radio antenna receptor sites, if you will, that emit communication. Our genes are no longer solely responsible for our experience in the physical world. It is rather that our environment turns on certain genes or doesn't. And it's not the environment out there only that is being polluted. It's the environment here in our personal space that is greatly being influenced. And that environment is being influenced by the thoughts that we think and the amount of interference that it can create for us. If we're putting something into place that doesn't allow the natural frequencies to bombard the surface of our cells, cells, the surface of our cells have no choice but to send a message to the central nervous system saying, hey, we're getting a message here that's not so coherent. It's not comprehensive. It could have interference in it, which signals a potential danger, And so breathing here from the core of our center creates a physiology that shifts the potential for us to be activating this central nervous system into a fight or flight response. That central nervous system has no choice but to react in one of two ways when it finally receives that message that has been bombarding the surface of this cell. It can only ever either move into a fight or flight response or move into a healing, creative capacity. Those are its two choices. Innovation occurs when we are not under attack. It's pretty hard to be creative when a bear is chasing you. So what we want to do is create the environment, create the communication system, create the reality that our cells get to experience something that is, a little more safe. It means we have to change our mind about these things. If we don't, it has no choice but to continue to function as it is. It sends the message it receives, and the message that it's receiving at the surface of the cell is, we could potentially be in danger here. So we cannot possibly move into a healing or creative capacity when that kind of potential danger is in front of us. You know, all the greats tell us that Einstein, Edison, they all make reference to the fact that it was in the face of that and that they just let go. They just let it go that the idea came through. Not when they were thinking, but when they were awake and lucid, when the answer actually came. So we have to refine our minds to define what the question is, and then we have to release into the rest of us and allow some aspect of us to be receiving a more comprehensive signal from out there to in here, if we're ever going to be able to downshift into this space that allows for ultimate creativity. I'd like to give you some experience of that. If you take just a deep breath in, just exhale. A deep breath in. Hold your vision and breathe here. What is it you would have be true for you personally? Feel it now. Feel it deep in the core. And without thinking, perceive in the silence what is happening. Right there. Right there. Breathe it to life. Imagine letting go. Hold that awareness for what you would have be true in your life. Stand up. Move your body with that. Come on, I know you can do it. Very good. See, it didn't hurt too bad, did it? Moving the body in the presence of this acceptance opens a door for us by releasing the grievances that we have held in place over time. So raise your arms up over your head, deep breath in, and celebrate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching this with me. This is something that I wanted to share with you. I felt like she did a great job. The rest of the talk was about breathing and allowing the universe to come into you so that you actually begin to open the channels so that your natural sense of self-expression, personal well-being begins to open up and be expressed in your life. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you back here on Love Talk next week.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store. a haven for the weary soul, a source of inspiration and community, redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.